I was banned to my wife's sister's housewarming party until I apologized. So I quietly canceled the mortgage payment I'd been making for a year. Karma is a bitch. You ever have one of those days where the universe decides you're its personal punching bag? Yeah, Tuesday was giving me those vibes hard. I'm talking about the kind of Tuesday that makes you question every life choice that led you to this exact moment. Sitting in a beige cubicle that smelled like desperation and whatever Frank from accounting microwaved for lunch. Spoiler alert, it was fish. It's always fish with Frank. I was knee-deep in spreadsheets, living my best corporate drone life, trying to make sense of numbers that stopped making sense around 10 a.m. The fluorescent lights hummed above me like they were plotting my demise, and the espresso machine in the break room had already burned me twice. I'm pretty sure that thing was sentient and held a personal grudge against me. Every time I walked past it, I swear I could hear it whisper, "Try me again, Leo. I dare you." My biggest accomplishment of the day? Successfully balancing a quarterly report without falling asleep on my keyboard. The bar was low, folks. Real low. I was just starting to hit that sweet spot of afternoon productivity. You know, that magical 30-minute window where you actually feel like a functioning adult, when my phone started buzzing on my desk. The screen lit up with two words that made my stomach drop faster than the office elevator during a fire drill. Mother-in-law. Now, let me paint you a picture. My mother-in-law, Patricia, or as I like to call her in my head, the ice queen of passive-aggressive comments, wasn't the type to call just to chat. Oh no, when Patricia called, it meant someone had committed a crime against the family. And guess what? The perp was usually me. I could already feel my blood pressure spiking, and I hadn't even answered yet. I stared at my phone like it was a bomb about to detonate. Sarah, my co-worker in the next cubicle, peeked over the divider with her nosy little grin. You gonna answer that? Or are we doing a staring contest with your phone? That's my mother-in-law, I said, like that explained everything. Sarah's eyes went wide. Oh damn. Thoughts and prayers, buddy. She disappeared back behind her cubicle wall faster than a prairie dog spotting a hawk. I took a deep breath, said a little prayer to whatever deity handles in-law disputes, and answered. Hello, Leo. Her voice came through the speaker colder than a tax audit, sharper than my electric bill after Haley discovered online shopping. There was zero warmth, zero pleasantries, just straight to the execution. We need to talk. Oh, here we go. I leaned back in my chair, which squeaked loud enough to make Frank look up from his spreadsheet dungeon. Sure, Patricia. What's up? I tried to sound casual, like I wasn't already mentally preparing my defense for whatever crime I'd apparently committed. You're not invited to Nora's housewarming party this Saturday. I blinked. Once. Twice. Waited for the punchline. I'm sorry, what? You heard me. Not until you apologized to her for what you said at dinner last month. Her tone was the verbal equivalent of a judge banging a gavel. Case closed. Leo guilty. No appeals. I sat up straighter, my brain scrambling to figure out what the hell I'd said at dinner. I'd asked Nora about her designer handbag situation. A completely reasonable question considering her brand was about as profitable as a lemonade stand in a snowstorm. Since when was basic financial literacy a crime? Apologize for what, exactly? I asked, trying to keep my voice level. Around me, the office continued its mundane symphony. Keyboards clicking, phones ringing, Frank sighing dramatically at his computer screen. For embarrassing her. For being cruel. And that's when I heard it. In the background of Patricia's call, crystal clear like a studio recording. Laughter. Not just any laughter, my wife's laughter. Haley's signature giggle, the one that usually meant she was watching fail videos on YouTube or someone was getting roasted in the family group chat. That someone, apparently, was me. They were all there. I could hear them. My wife, her mom, probably her dad too. All having a grand old time discussing my banishment like I was some peasant who'd insulted the royal family. This wasn't a private call. This was a performance. I was the main character in their comedy show, and I hadn't even auditioned for the role. You've got to be kidding me, I muttered. Excuse me. Patricia's voice sharpened even more, which I didn't think was physically possible. Nothing. So let me get this straight. I'm banned from a housewarming party because I asked a legitimate question about Nora's finances. You made her cry, Leo. You made her feel small. Made her feel small. I made her feel small. The woman who posted daily stories about her luxury lifestyle and manifestation journey felt small because I pointed out that designer bags don't pay for themselves. The cognitive dissonance was giving me whiplash. Patricia, I was just. No excuses. Either apologize or don't bother showing up. I heard more laughter in the background. Someone, probably Haley's dad, Richard, said something I couldn't quite make out, and they all cracked up like it was open mic night at the comedy club, and I was the hack who bombed on stage. Here's the thing about that moment. That exact moment when I heard them laughing at me like I was the punchline to their inside joke. Something inside me just clicked. Not snapped, not broke, clicked. Like a light switch flipping from off to on, illuminating a room I didn't even know existed. Because here's what they didn't know. Here's the beautiful, ironic, absolutely hilarious thing that they were completely oblivious to while they giggled and sipped their wine and planned their fancy little party. I'd been paying Nora's mortgage for the past year. Every single month. That dream house she loved posting about on Instagram with captions like blessed and hard work pays off, and my personal favorite, built this empire from scratch. Yeah, scratch was spelled L-E-O. The down payment that made her homeownership possible? My savings account. The monthly mortgage that kept a roof over her influencer aspirations? My bank transfers. While they toasted Nora's success and her independence and her girl boss energy, I was the one making sure the bank didn't come knocking. I was the silent investor in the Nora show, and apparently, my dividend was getting banned from the viewing party. You know what, Patricia? I said, and I could hear the change in my own voice. Calmer, cooler, like I'd just figured out the answer to a really complicated puzzle. I'll think about it. You'll think about it. She sounded offended that I didn't immediately grovel. Yeah, I'll think real hard about that apology. Have a great day. I hung up before she could respond, and I gotta say, it felt pretty damn good. Sarah's head popped back over the cubicle. Dude, you okay? You look weird. I'm fantastic, I said, and I meant it. Actually, Sarah, I'm better than fantastic. I just had an epiphany. Those are either really good or really bad. Which one is this? I smiled. Not a happy smile, not a sad smile, but something in between. Something that tasted like justice and felt like freedom. I'll let you know. That call didn't just annoy me. It didn't just ruin my Tuesday or hurt my feelings. No, that call did something way more dangerous. It flipped a switch I didn't even know I had. And buddy, once that switch flips, there's no going back. Let me take you back about a year before that delightful phone call from Patricia. Picture this. I'm sitting on my couch on a Saturday morning, living my best lazy weekend life. Coffee in hand, basketball game on TV, wearing sweatpants that had seen better days. You know, peak male contentment. Haley was at some brunch thing with her girlfriends, probably Instagramming avocado toast like it was a religious experience, and I had the whole place to myself. Life was good. Life was simple. Life was about to get incredibly expensive. My phone rang. Nora's face popped up on the screen. One of those selfies where she's doing that influencer head tilt thing that apparently makes everyone look more authentic. I should have known right then that answering that call was going to cost me. Should have let it go to voicemail. Should have pretended I was dead. But no, I'm a good brother-in-law, so I answered like an idiot. Hey, Nora, what's up? Sobbing. Immediate, dramatic sobbing that sounded like someone had just told her Instagram was shutting down forever. Leo, she choked out between gasps. I need to talk to you about something really important. I sat up straighter, my heart rate picking up. Was she okay? Was someone hurt? Did something terrible happen? My mind raced through worst-case scenarios. What's wrong? Are you all right? I found it, Leo. I found the house. I blinked at the TV, watching some dude miss a free throw. You found a house? My dream house. More sobbing. But now I realized these weren't sad tears. These were those weird, happy crying tears that women do when they're overwhelmed with emotion. It's perfect, Leo. It's absolutely perfect. The kitchen has marble countertops. Real marble, not that fake stuff. And there's this backsplash that's like art. Like actual art. And the backyard. She paused for dramatic effect. The backyard is literally perfect for content. The lighting is amazing. I could shoot there every day. There it was. The backyard was perfect for content. Not for, relaxing or barbecuing or playing with future kids or any normal human activity. No, the primary function of this backyard was Instagram stories. That's great, I said, still not understanding why this required a crying phone call to me specifically. So you're buying a house? That's a big step. Congratulations. Well, here's the thing. Her voice shifted, got a little quieter, a little more calculated. I should have recognized that tone. That was the tone of someone about to ask for money. The seller accepted my offer, but I need to close in like 3 weeks, and my loan officer said there's some issues with my application. What kind of issues? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Nora's relationship with money was like a tornado's relationship with a trailer park, destructive and completely predictable. Something about my credit score and my income-to-debt ratio. He used a lot of big words that didn't make sense. But Leo, I need this house. It's meant to be. I've been manifesting it for months. Ah yes, manifestation. That magical thinking that convinced an entire generation that wanting something really badly was the same as earning it. I tried manifesting $1 million once. Spoiler alert, my bank account remained tragically unmanifested. Nora, if the bank won't approve you, maybe it's a sign that you should wait until. I can't wait. Someone else will buy it. Leo, please, I just need help with the down payment. Once I close, I can handle the mortgage myself. My brand is about to blow up. I can feel it. I'm this close to landing a huge sponsorship deal. Let me translate that for you. I have no actual income, but I'm really good at taking pictures of coffee cups, so surely money will just appear. I should have said no. Any rational person would have said no. But then she hit me with the combo move that's defeated men since the beginning of time. Can I talk to Haley about this? She'll understand. And just like that, I knew I was screwed. Because Haley, my beautiful, wonderful, financially illiterate wife, had a soft spot for her little sister the size of Texas. Nora could have asked Haley for a kidney, and Haley would have been Googling how to donate organs before I could say, maybe we should think about this. Let me talk to Haley first, I said, trying to buy myself some time to figure out how to navigate this minefield. Thank you, Leo. Thank you so much. You're literally the best brother-in-law ever. She hung up, probably to go take pictures of herself crying tears of joy in her car. That's a thing influencers do, right? Monetize their emotions? When Haley got home from brunch, she was already on a mission. Nora had clearly called her immediately after our conversation, which meant I was about to get tag-teamed. I was still on the couch, but now I was watching the post-game interviews and mentally calculating how much money we had in savings. Babe, Haley bounced into the living room with that energy that meant she was about to ask for something big. Nora told me about the house. Yeah, she called me. I said carefully, keeping my eyes on the TV like it was the most fascinating thing I'd ever seen. Isn't it exciting? Her first house. She's growing up so fast. Haley plopped down next to me, and I could feel those puppy dog eyes boring into the side of my head. She's just having a little trouble with the down payment. A little trouble? I finally looked at her. Haley, the bank rejected her loan application. That's not a little trouble. That's a red flag the size of Montana. She just needs some help getting started. Once she's in the house, she can build her brand and everything will work out. I love my wife. I really did. But her optimism about her sister's brand was like believing in Santa Claus. Adorable, but fundamentally divorced from reality. Nora's Instagram had like 3,000 followers, half of which were probably bots. Her sponsorships consisted of companies sending her free protein powder in exchange for posts. This was not a viable business model. How much does she need? I asked, already knowing I was going to regret this question. Haley bit her lip. 45,000. I actually laughed. Not a funny laugh. More like a "are you insane" laugh. 45 grand. Haley, that's our house savings. That's the money we've been putting away for our down payment. I know, babe, but she's family. She really needs this. And she promised she'd pay us back once her brand takes off. Her brand? Haley, her brand is posting pictures of smoothie bowls. That's not paying back $45,000. She hit me with the look. You know the one. The look that said I was being the bad guy for applying basic math to a family situation. Leo, she just needs a little help. You have a good job. We can save up again. But this is her chance to really make something of herself. And there it was. The guilt trip wrapped in family obligation, wrapped in the implication that I was being selfish for wanting to use our own savings for our own house. I looked at my wife, her hopeful expression, her genuine belief that this would all work out, and I felt my resolve crumbling like a sandcastle at high tide. She has to pay us back? I said weakly. With interest. Haley squealed and hugged me. Thank you, babe. You're amazing. Nora's going to be so happy. Yeah, Nora was going to be happy. Meanwhile, I watched my dream house fund evaporate faster than my hairline during tax season. I transferred the money that Monday. $45,000, gone in a single click. My savings account looked like a desert. Barren. Empty. Dead. Nora sent me a voice message. OMG, Leo. You're literally my hero. I'm going to pay you back so fast, you won't even believe it. This house is going to change everything. Spoiler alert, the only thing that changed was my bank balance. But hey, at least the backyard had good lighting for content. 3 months after I handed over my life savings like some kind of charitable ATM, I was sitting at my desk doing what I do best, pretending to care about quarterly projections while actually contemplating the meaning of life. Frank had microwave fish again. The universe truly had it out for me. My phone buzzed with a text message. Nora. Of course it was Nora. Hey Leo, quick question. Let me stop you right there. In the history of humanity, nothing good has ever followed the phrase quick question from a family member. It's never actually quick, and it's definitely not just a question. It's a trap. A financial trap wrapped in casual language designed to catch you off guard. I stared at those 3 dots indicating she was still typing. My stomach did that thing where it tries to escape through your throat. The mortgage payment is higher than I expected. Like, way higher. I didn't realize there would be property taxes and HOA fees and insurance and all this other stuff. Could you maybe help me out for a bit? Just until my sponsorships come through. Just until her sponsorships come through. Right. And I was just temporarily not a millionaire until my lottery ticket came through. I typed back. How much are we talking? Like $2,500 a month. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's temporary. 2 months max, I promise. $2,500 per month for 2 months. That was $5,000 on top of the 45 I'd already given her. I did the math in my head. That was $50,000 total for a house I would never live in, never own, and apparently never be thanked for. I should have said no. I should have written back, sorry, but you need to figure this out yourself like an actual adult. I should have shown Haley the message and let her deal with her sister's financial catastrophe. But here's the thing about being a people-pleaser married to someone with an enabling complex. You become an enabler by proxy. It's like secondhand smoke, except instead of cancer, you get bankruptcy. Okay, but only for a couple months. OMG, thank you. You're literally saving my life right now. Yeah, I was saving her life while slowly drowning mine. Poetic, really. That first payment of $2,500 hurt, like pulling off a Band-Aid made of fire. I transferred it on the first of the month, watched my checking account drop like the stock market during a recession, and told myself it would be fine. 2 months. I could handle 2 months. Narrator voice. It was not 2 months. Month 4 rolled around, and like clockwork, another text. Hey Leo. So the sponsorship deal fell through, but I have another one in the works that's even bigger. Can you cover just 1 more month? Month 5. The company said they need more time to process the contract. 1 more month. Month 6. You won't believe this, but they went with someone else. So unfair. But I have 3 other brands interested. Just need a little more time. It was like watching someone try to catch a bus that never actually existed. Except I was paying for the bus stop. Every single month, $2,500 vanished from my account faster than free pizza at a college dorm. And every single month, Nora had a new excuse wrapped in optimism and sprinkled with promises of imminent success. Meanwhile, and this is where the comedy really kicked in, her Instagram became a monument to delusion. Every day, multiple times a day, new posts appeared showing off her blessed life and manifestation journey. There was Nora in front of her house. Dream big, work hard, never give up. Flexed biceps, #homeowner, #blessed, #girlboss. Nora in her kitchen with a green smoothie. Success tastes sweet when you earn it yourself. Leaf fluttering in wind, #self-made, #entrepreneur, #grind. Nora in that backyard she was so excited about. When you trust the universe, it delivers. Sparkles, #manifest, #abundance, #living my best life. Trust the universe? Lady, trust my bank account. The universe didn't deliver squat. My direct deposit did. My personal favorite was when she posted a quote graphic that said, I never ask for handouts. I work for everything I have. The irony was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I actually screenshot that one and saved it in a folder I labeled Evidence of Audacity. Sarah from the cubicle next to me noticed something was off around month 7. We were in the break room, me glaring at the espresso machine, her microwaving something that actually smelled good for once. "You okay, Leo? You've been looking stressed lately." "Just peachy," I said, jabbing the button on the espresso machine harder than necessary. "Is it the Peterson account?" "Because Jerry from legal said." "It's not work." I sighed, watching the world's saddest coffee drip into my mug. "It's family stuff." She raised an eyebrow. "Family stuff that costs money? Was I that transparent?" "What makes you say that?" "Because last month you turned down lunch 3 times saying you were budgeting. And yesterday I saw you bring in a sandwich from home. You never bring lunch from home. You once said, and I quote, 'Life's too short to meal prep.'" Damn, she got me there. "My sister-in-law needed help with some expenses," I said vaguely, hoping she'd drop it. "Some expenses? Dude, you look like someone who's paying for a second mortgage." I laughed. It came out more bitter than I intended. "That's surprisingly accurate." Sarah's eyes went wide. "Wait, seriously? You're paying someone else's mortgage?" "It's temporary," I said automatically, though by month 7, that word had lost all meaning. How temporary are we talking? It was supposed to be 2 months. We're now at 7. 7. She nearly dropped her Tupperware. "Leo, that's not temporary. That's a commitment. That's basically a second family." "Tell me about it," I muttered. "Does your wife know?" "She knows her sister needs help. She doesn't know the exact dollar amount or duration." Sarah gave me that look, the one that said I was being an idiot, but she was too polite to say it directly. "Maybe you should tell her? And start a family war?" "No thanks. I'll just write it out." Famous last words. Month 8 came with a special bonus request. Not only did Nora need the regular mortgage payment, but she also needed an extra $800 for unexpected repairs. The dishwasher broke. Did she get quotes from multiple repair people? Did she try to fix it herself? Did she even Google troubleshooting tips? No, and hell no. She just texted me like I was the home warranty company. The same week, she posted a photo of herself at some trendy brunch spot with the caption, "Treating myself because self-care isn't selfish." Clinking glasses, hashtag self-love, hashtag brunch, hashtag luxury lifestyle. That brunch probably cost more than fixing her own damn dishwasher. Around month 9, Haley started getting more vocal about Nora's success at family dinners. We were at her parents' house. Patricia had made pot roast that could double as a doorstop, and Nora was holding court like usual. "So I'm diversifying my content," Nora announced, gesturing with her wine glass. "I'm getting into home renovation content. My engagement is up 30%. "That's wonderful, sweetie." Patricia beamed like Nora had just won a Nobel Prize. "I'm so proud of you," Haley said, squeezing my hand under the table. "You're doing it all by yourself. Being independent. Building something real. Independent. That word hit me like a slap. I was sitting there, literally funding this independence, and everyone was praising Nora for being self-sufficient. It was like watching someone accept an award for a movie you wrote, directed, and financed while they thanked everyone except you. "It's not easy," Nora said with false modesty, "but I believe in hard work and dedication. You can't just expect things to be handed to you, you know." I nearly choked on my pot roast. I actually started coughing, and Richard had to pat me on the back. "You okay, son?" he asked. "Fine," I wheezed. "Just went down wrong." The truth went down wrong. That's what happened. Month 10 brought another Instagram gem. A video of Nora walking through her house with text overlay that said, "POV, you trusted the process and now you're living your dream." The process she trusted was called Leo's bank account, but details, right? By month 11, I developed this weird habit of calculating everything in terms of mortgage payments. Gas prices up? That's 0.002 mortgage payments per gallon. Movie ticket? That's 0.006 mortgage payments. My lunch? 0.004 mortgage payments per sandwich. Frank noticed. "Why do you keep muttering numbers?" "No reason. Just counting my blessings." "That's weird, man." "Yeah, Frank. My whole life was weird at that point." Month 12 rolled around, and I realized I'd paid $30,000 in mortgage payments alone. Combined with the original $45,000 down payment, I was 75 grand deep in someone else's dream house. That's when Nora posted, "1 year in this house. Best decision I ever made. Hashtag anniversary, hashtag homeowner, hashtag self-made success." Best decision SHE ever made. I was officially living in a Netflix series called Rich Girl, sponsored by Leo's Shattered Dreams. And the really funny part? Nobody knew. Not Patricia, not Richard, not even Haley really understood the full scope. I was the ghost in Nora's success story. The invisible hand funding visible luxury. But ghosts have a funny way of coming back to haunt you. And buddy, was I about to haunt the hell out of this situation? Let me set the scene for you. It was a Saturday evening in October, one of those perfect fall nights where the weather actually cooperates and doesn't feel like Satan's armpit or the Arctic tundra. Patricia had decided to host one of her intimate family gatherings, which was code for mandatory attendance or face eternal guilt trips. Haley and I showed up right on time, 6:30 p.m. sharp, because God forbid you're even 5 minutes late to a Patricia production. We pulled up to their house in the suburbs, the kind of place with a manicured lawn that probably had its own insurance policy and garden gnomes that cost more than my monthly car payment. Remember, Haley said as we walked up the driveway, Mom's been stressed about Dad's golf tournament fundraiser thing, so just be extra nice tonight. I'm always nice, I protested, holding a bottle of wine that cost $35. That's 0.014 mortgage payments, if you're keeping track. My brain was broken. You have resting irritated face lately. That's just my face now. It's permanent. We rang the doorbell, and Richard answered wearing one of those preppy sweaters that screamed, I have a boat, and I'm not afraid to tell you about it. He did have a boat. He told everyone about it constantly. Leo, Haley, come in, come in. He grabbed my hand in one of those aggressive dad handshakes that's basically a dominance display. How's work treating you? It's treating me like an employee, Richard. So, could be worse. He laughed like I'd made an actual joke instead of stating a depressing fact. That's the spirit. Hey, did I tell you about the new GPS system I installed on the boat? There it is. 30 seconds. New record. The house smelled like Patricia's signature pot roast, which I'm pretty sure violated several Geneva Convention guidelines regarding cruel and unusual punishment. The woman could burn water. How she managed to make beef taste like cardboard soaked in disappointment was actually impressive from a scientific standpoint. We walked into the dining room where the table was set with the fancy china that came out for special occasions. There had to be at least 50 candles burning. Patricia was going for ambience but achieved possible fire hazard instead. Darlings, Patricia swooped in wearing what I can only describe as suburban mom does high fashion. Lots of jewelry that jangled when she moved and a scarf that probably cost more than my first car. She air-kissed Haley and gave me one of those hugs that felt like being embraced by a refrigerator. So glad you could make it. Like we had a choice. Haley's brother Marcus was already there with his wife Jennifer, both nursing what looked like very strong cocktails. Marcus gave me the chin-up nod that men do when they acknowledge each other's existence without using actual words. Jennifer smiled warmly. She was good people. We'd bonded over our mutual confusion about this family's dynamics at last year's Thanksgiving. Leo, she said, actually sounding happy to see me. How are you? Living the dream, Jen. How's the twins? Demonic, but in a cute way. She took a long sip of her drink. I'm counting the minutes until bedtime. Currently at 4,320 minutes to go. I like Jennifer. She got it. Nora's running late. Patricia announced, fluttering around the table adjusting forks that were already perfectly straight. She had a photo shoot that ran over. Very important brand work. Marcus caught my eye and smirked. He knew. He might not have known the exact financial details, but he knew his little sister was full of it. We'd had a conversation once where he described Nora's career as professionally taking pictures of things nobody asked to see. We made small talk for about 15 minutes. Richard told us about the boat again. Patricia complained about the neighborhood association again. Marcus talked about his law firm's new office space. Jennifer showed us pictures of the twins covered in spaghetti sauce. Normal family stuff. Then Nora arrived. She made an entrance like she was walking a red carpet, not entering her parents' dining room. The front door opened, and I heard her voice before I saw her. Sorry I'm late. Everyone, you would not believe the traffic coming from the shoot. She swept into the room wearing an outfit that probably had its own Instagram post planned, but that's not what caught my attention. What caught my attention, what caught everyone's attention, was the handbag. This wasn't just a purse. This was a statement piece. This was the kind of bag that had waiting lists and authentication certificates. I'm no fashion expert, but even I recognized the logo. I'd seen it in enough Instagram ads to know this thing cost more than most people's monthly rent. My brain immediately did the math. That bag, somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. That's 1.2 to 2 full mortgage payments. That's 120 to 200 of my sad little office lunches. That's... Nora, you look gorgeous. Patricia gushed, hugging her youngest daughter like she'd just returned from war. Thanks, Mom. Nora did a little spin. The shoot was for this amazing wellness brand. They're huge on TikTok. The exposure is going to be incredible for my platform. Exposure. The currency of people who don't get paid in actual currency. We all sat down at the table, and Patricia brought out the pot roast. It looked like something that had died of natural causes and then been cooked as an afterthought. Haley squeezed my hand under the table, our signal for, please don't make a face at Mom's cooking. Nora positioned her fancy handbag on the empty chair next to her like it deserved its own place setting. She kept touching it, adjusting it, making sure it was visible. It was like watching someone pet a very expensive, very leather cat. That's a beautiful bag, Nora, Jennifer said, because she was genuinely nice like that. Oh, this. Nora tried to sound casual, like she hadn't positioned it specifically to be noticed. Yeah, I've been manifesting this bag for months, and the universe finally delivered. It's an investment piece, you know? Quality over quantity. The universe delivered. Sure. The universe and my bank account tag teamed that delivery. Investment. Richard perked up. He loved talking about investments. What kind of return are we talking about? Nora laughed. That tinkly little laugh she did when she didn't actually understand financial terms. Not that kind of investment, Dad. It's an investment in my brand. Image is everything in the influencer world. Marcus coughed into his wine. I could see him trying not to laugh. Here's the thing. I'd been sitting on a year's worth of financial frustration. 12 months of watching my money disappear into someone else's mortgage while they posted about being self-made. 12 months of being the invisible sponsor of the Nora Show. 12 months of biting my tongue while everyone praised her independence. And now she was sitting here with a handbag that cost more than I made in a month, talking about manifestation and investments in brand image, while I'd been eating PB&J sandwiches for lunch to afford her actual mortgage. Something in me just snapped. So Nora, I said, cutting into Patricia's pot roast which had the texture of shoe leather. Serious question, did your brand finally start making actual money? Or are those designer handbags growing on trees now? Because if they're growing on trees, I need to know where those trees are. I could use a harvest. The table went silent. Like horror movie silent. Even the candles seemed to stop flickering. Marcus stopped mid-chew. Jennifer's eyes went wide. Richard put down his fork. Patricia's mouth formed a perfect O of shock. Haley kicked me under the table. Hard. Nora's face went from influencer perfect to crumbling in about 2.5 seconds. Her eyes got watery, her lips started trembling, and I realized I'd just crossed some invisible line that I didn't even know existed. I can't believe you just said that, she whispered, her voice shaking. Nora, I didn't mean. No. She stood up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. You're always like this. Always judging me. Always making me feel like what I do isn't real work. That's not what You're just jealous because I'm doing what I love while you're stuck in some boring office job. Tears were streaming down her face now, and I felt like the world's biggest asshole, even though technically I was just asking a legitimate question. This bag represents everything I've worked for. It's a symbol of my success. Success that I literally funded, but okay. Leo, Patricia stood up, her face redder than the wine. How dare you speak to your sister-in-law like that? I was just asking a question about. But Nora was already running. Full-on running out of the dining room. Her expensive handbag clutched to her chest like it was a life preserver. I heard her footsteps thunder up the stairs, followed by a door slamming so hard the house shook. Haley stood up immediately. I'm going to check on her. She gave me a look that could have melted steel. We'll talk about this later. She followed her sister upstairs, leaving me sitting at the table with Patricia and Richard staring at me like I'd just kicked a puppy, and Marcus and Jennifer trying to become invisible. I think, Richard said slowly, you owe Nora an apology, son. I was just pointing out that. That was cruel, Leo, Patricia interrupted, her voice icy. Deliberately cruel. That girl works so hard. and you just humiliated her in front of the entire family. I looked at Marcus for backup, but he was suddenly very interested in his pot roast. Jennifer gave me a sympathetic look, but stayed quiet. Can't blame her. This wasn't her battle. I didn't mean to hurt her feelings, I said, which was true. I meant to point out the obvious financial hypocrisy, but apparently, that was the same thing. The rest of dinner was about as fun as a root canal performed by someone who hates you. We ate in awkward silence. Haley came back down eventually, told everyone Nora was too upset to rejoin us, and sat next to me radiating disappointment. We left early. The drive home was silent except for Haley occasionally sighing dramatically like I'd committed a federal crime. The next morning, I woke up to 17 notifications. The family group chat, which I'd muted months ago because it was just constant photos of Nora's content, had exploded overnight. I scrolled through the messages with increasing horror. Patricia, I can't believe Leo's behavior tonight. Completely unacceptable. Richard, the boy needs to learn some respect. Nora, I've always tried to include him, and this is how he treats me? Haley's cousin Amanda, who wasn't even at the dinner. What happened? Marcus's wife Jennifer. It was tense. Some aunt I'd met twice. Family should support each other, not tear each other down. And then, the final nail in my coffin, from someone whose number I didn't even recognize. Classic jealous brother-in-law behavior. Can't stand to see a successful woman thriving. Jealous brother-in-law. That was my new label. I wasn't the guy who'd funded Nora's entire life for the past year. I wasn't the silent investor in her dream house. I wasn't the reason she had a roof over her head to take photos under. Nope. I was just the jealous brother-in-law who couldn't handle her success. The logic didn't matter. The math didn't matter. The fact that I'd asked a completely reasonable question about where a financially dependent person got $5,000 for a luxury handbag didn't matter. Apparently, in this family, logic was rude, and I was the villain for using it. The week after the dinner debacle from hell was like living in a really bad sitcom, where everyone hated the main character and the laugh track was replaced with disappointed sighs. Haley wasn't speaking to me. Well, she was speaking to me, but in that special way where every word felt like an ice pick to the soul. Can you pass the salt? Translation, you're a terrible person. Did you pay the electric bill? Translation, at least you're good for something. Good morning. Translation, it's actually not a good morning because I'm married to a monster. I tried apologizing multiple times. But here's the thing about apologizing to someone who doesn't think you understand what you're apologizing for. It never lands right. I'm sorry I upset Nora at dinner. Are you sorry for what you said, or just sorry that she got upset? I both. Wrong answer. There was apparently a correct answer to this question, but nobody gave me the study guide. The family group chat continued its prosecution of Leo without me. I'd been effectively muted, not officially, but in that way where everyone talks around you like you're not there. They'd send memes, share updates, post photos, and I was just this ghost hovering in the digital space, watching my own character assassination in real time. Nora posted a quote graphic 3 days after the dinner. Some people will never understand your journey, and that's okay. Keep shining anyway. Sparkles. 47 likes from family members. 47 people who thought I was the villain in her hero's journey. Marcus sent me a private text on day 4. Dude, you really stepped in it. I just asked where she got the money for the bag. I typed back. Yeah, but you know how Nora is. She's sensitive about the money stuff. Maybe she should be less sensitive and more realistic. Not the point, man. Just apologize and move on. Life's too short for family drama. Easy for him to say. He wasn't bankrolling anyone's fantasy lifestyle. Work became my escape. I started arriving early and leaving late, which Frank noticed immediately because suddenly he had competition for the saddest person in the office award. Trouble at home? He asked one morning, both of us standing at the coffee machine at 7:15 a.m. like two refugees from functional relationships. Family stuff, I said vaguely. Say no more. He patted my shoulder with surprising empathy. My brother-in-law once borrowed my truck and returned it with a dent and an empty gas tank. Didn't speak to him for 6 months. Did he ever apologize? Nope. But he moved to Nevada, so problem solved itself. I wondered if Nora would move to Nevada. Probably not. Nevada didn't have good lighting for content. Sarah tried to cheer me up by bringing me homemade cookies on day 7. You look like you need sugar and sympathy, she said, dropping a Tupperware container on my desk. Is it that obvious? Leo, yesterday you sighed so loud that Jerry from accounting came over to see if you were dying. I ate 3 cookies in rapid succession. They were peanut butter. They were amazing. They were definitely better than my marriage right now. Family still mad? She asked, perching on the edge of my desk. Family thinks I'm the Antichrist because I asked a reasonable question about someone's spending habits. The sister-in-law with the mortgage you're paying? The very same. Sarah shook her head. You know what your problem is? Enlighten me. You're too nice. You let people walk all over you, and then you wonder why your back hurts. She wasn't wrong, but being nice was like my default setting. I was raised by Midwestern parents who believed that causing trouble was worse than being murdered. Don't make a fuss was basically our family motto. I'd been trained since birth to be agreeable, to not rock the boat, to swallow my complaints with a smile and a no problem. Except now it was a problem. A $75,000 problem that nobody even knew about. 2 weeks after the dinner, I was back in my cubicle on that fateful Tuesday when Patricia called. You know this part, we covered it in Chapter 1. The cold voice, the band from the housewarming party, the demand for an apology, and Haley giggling in the background like this was all some hilarious joke. But what I didn't tell you was what happened after I hung up. I sat there for a solid 5 minutes, just staring at my computer screen where a spreadsheet full of numbers blurred into meaningless shapes. My heart was pounding, not from anger or hurt, but from something else entirely. Clarity. Like someone had finally turned on the lights in a room I'd been stumbling around in for a year. Sarah poked her head over the cubicle. You good? You look weird again. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. Okay. She looked concerned now. If you were paying someone's mortgage for a year, spending $75,000 of your own money, and then they banned you from their housewarming party, the party for the house you paid for, would you keep paying? Her eyes went so wide I thought they might fall out. 75,000. Leo, what the? Would you keep paying? I pressed. Hell no. Are you insane? I wouldn't have paid in the first place. She climbed over the cubicle divider, actually climbed over it, and dropped into my cube. Wait, back up. You've spent 75 grand on this girl. Down payment was 45. Monthly payments for 12 months at $2,500 each is 30. That's 75 total. And they just banned you from the party. Yup. The party for the house you're paying for. Technically, I'm paying the mortgage. She owns the house. Leo, Sarah looked like she wanted to shake me. Please tell me you're going to stop paying. That's when it hit me. The answer was so obvious it was almost funny. Why was I paying for a house I'd just been banned from entering? Why was I funding someone's lifestyle when they couldn't even invite me to a party? What kind of backwards logic was I operating under? Yeah, I said slowly, a smile creeping across my face. Yeah, I think I am. Thank God. I was worried you'd actually lost your mind. I opened my banking app right there. Sarah watching over my shoulder like this was the most entertainment she'd had all month. I navigated to my automatic payments, found the one labeled Nora, Mortgage, and hovered my finger over the cancel button. Do it, Sarah whispered, like we were defusing a bomb instead of canceling a payment. Do it, do it, do it. I pressed cancel. A confirmation screen popped up. Are you sure you want to cancel this recurring payment? I'd never been more sure of anything in my life. Yes, I said out loud, hitting confirm. Payment canceled successfully. Those 3 words were poetry. They were art. They were the best thing I'd read since my college acceptance letter. Sarah actually cheered. Frank looked over from his cube with confusion, saw Sarah's excited face and my grin, and just shook his head. I don't want to know. Probably for the best, Frank, I called back. I felt lighter immediately, like I'd been carrying a backpack full of rocks, and someone had just cut it off my shoulders. That money, that $2,500 that had been auto-drafting from my account every month like clockwork, was mine again. Mine. So what are you going to do with your newfound freedom? Sarah asked. I'm going to go get a steak, I said, standing up and grabbing my jacket. A really, really expensive steak. It's 2 p.m. I don't care. I've been eating sad desk lunches for a year. I deserve a steak. She grinned. You're my hero. I went to this steakhouse downtown that I'd been avoiding because it was pricey, the kind of place with cloth napkins and waiters who introduced themselves like you were starting a relationship. I ordered the biggest ribeye on the menu, a loaded baked potato, and a bourbon that cost more per ounce than gasoline. The waiter, a guy named Trevor who had impeccable posture and probably made more in tips than I made in salary, noticed my good mood. "Celebrating something, sir?" "Yeah," I said, cutting into my steak which was cooked to absolute perfection. A well-deserved foreclosure. Trevor's eyebrows went up, but he was professional enough to just smile. "Congratulations?" "Oh, it's definitely a congratulations situation." The steak was incredible. Every bite tasted like freedom and justice and karma all rolled into one delicious, medium-rare package. I savored it. I posted a picture of it on Instagram, my first post in 6 months, with the caption, "Treating myself." I earned it. Within minutes, Haley texted, "Where are you?" "Having dinner. It's 3 p.m. And, are you okay?" "I'm great, actually. Best I've felt in a year." She didn't respond after that. Probably went back to whatever she was doing with her family, planning the housewarming party that I wasn't invited to, celebrating in the house that I'd funded. But here's the beautiful thing. I didn't care anymore. The switch that had flipped during Patricia's call, it wasn't flipping back. I was done being the family ATM, done being the invisible sponsor, done funding delusions while getting treated like the bad guy. I finished my steak, ordered a dessert I didn't need, some chocolate lava cake situation that was probably illegal in several states, and sat there in that restaurant feeling more at peace than I had in months. My phone buzzed. The family group chat was active again. Nora had posted, "Can't wait for the housewarming. Going to be such an amazing celebration of hard work and dreams coming true. House sparkles." I looked at that message, at that house emoji, at those sparkle emojis, and I laughed. Actually laughed out loud in the middle of this fancy steakhouse. Trevor came by to check on me. "Everything all right, sir?" "Everything's perfect," I said. "Absolutely perfect." Because in about 2 weeks, when that mortgage payment didn't go through, when the bank called and Nora realized that her hard work and dreams required my actual money, that celebration was going to get real interesting. I paid my bill, $127.50, which was exactly 0.051 mortgage payments that I was no longer making, and left Trevor a generous tip. The foreclosure hadn't even started yet, and I was already enjoying the show. The week between canceling Nora's mortgage payment and her actual housewarming party was honestly one of the best weeks of my life. I'm talking Christmas morning as a kid levels of joy, except instead of presents under a tree, my gift was watching my bank account not automatically decrease by $2,500. That first morning after hitting cancel, I woke up and actually checked my banking app just to make sure it was real. Yup, still canceled. The recurring payment that had been haunting me for 12 months was gone. Vanished. Extinct. I felt like Scrooge on Christmas morning, except I hadn't been visited by ghosts. I'd just finally grown a backbone. Haley was already downstairs making coffee when I came down, still in that weird Cold War phase where we existed in the same house, but barely spoke. She was scrolling through her phone, probably looking at the family group chat planning committee for Nora's big party. "Morning," I said, actually meaning it for the first time in weeks. She glanced up, surprised by my tone. "Morning. You seem chipper. Just feeling good today." I poured myself coffee from the pot, noticing she'd actually made enough for both of us. "Small miracles. What's on your agenda?" "Helping Nora with party prep later. She's so excited." There was a pause, and then the guilt trip. "You know, it's not too late to apologize. I'm sure if you just called her and said sorry, Mom would let you come." "Let me come. To a party for a house I'd paid for." Like it was some exclusive club I needed permission to enter. "I'm good," I said, sipping my coffee. "I've actually got plans this weekend anyway." "Plans?" She looked suspicious. I never had plans. My weekends usually consisted of whatever Haley wanted to do or whatever family obligation had been assigned to us. "Yup, plans." I didn't elaborate. Let her wonder. The thing about having a secret, especially a secret that's going to explode spectacularly in about 2 weeks, is that it gives you this weird sense of power. I walked around that week like I knew the punchline to a joke nobody else had heard yet. Every time someone mentioned the housewarming, every time Haley showed me another text from the party planning committee, I just smiled and nodded. On Tuesday, I took myself out to lunch. Not sad desk lunch. Not microwaved leftovers. I went to this Italian place downtown that had actual tablecloths and breadsticks that could make you believe in God. Ordered the lobster ravioli. $28. Worth every penny. The waitress noticed I was dining alone. "Just you today?" Just me. And honestly, it's perfect. She smiled like she understood something I hadn't said out loud. Maybe she'd had her own moment of canceling payments on other people's lives. Maybe she just appreciated a customer who actually enjoyed being alone. Either way, those ravioli were amazing, and I savored every single bite while reading a book on my phone and not thinking about mortgages or in-laws or housewarming parties. Wednesday, I bought new shoes. Not fancy designer ones like Nora's handbag, just regular nice shoes that I'd been putting off buying because we're saving money. Except we weren't saving money. I was funding someone else's house while wearing shoes with holes in them. The new ones were on sale, $60, and they felt like walking on clouds made of justice. Thursday, Sarah brought me more cookies. "You're still glowing," she observed, settling into the guest chair in my cube. "It's kind of creepy how happy you are." I canceled the payment. I reminded her. "I'm a free man." "Yeah, but you're too happy. Like, serial killer happy. Is there such a thing as too happy? When you're waiting for something bad to happen to someone else?" "Yes, that's called Schadenfreude, and it's generally frowned upon." "Is it Schadenfreude if they literally did it to themselves?" She considered this while munching on a cookie she'd brought for me. Philosophically, maybe not. Morally, still a gray area. Entertaining for me to watch? Absolutely. Frank rolled by on his chair. Yes, he rolled on his office chair instead of walking like a normal person and stopped at my cube entrance. "You two are always conspiring about something. Should I be concerned?" "Only if you've been lying about having money," Sarah said cheerfully. "I'm broke and honest. I think I'm safe." He rolled away backward, which was actually impressive. Friday rolled around, and the family group chat was in full celebration mode. Photos of decorations being delivered to Nora's house. Pictures of her in the kitchen preparing, which meant she'd bought pre-made appetizers from Whole Foods and arranged them on fancy plates. Videos of her doing that excited squeal thing influencers do when literally anything happens. Haley was getting ready to head over there Friday evening to help with setup. She came out of the bedroom wearing jeans and one of those casual but cute tops that cost $75 at Anthropologie. "You sure you don't want to come?" she asked one more time. "I still think if you just apologized." "I'm sure," I said from the couch, where I was very comfortable in my sweatpants watching a basketball game. "You go have fun." She looked at me like I was a puzzle she couldn't solve. "I don't understand you lately." "That's okay. You don't have to." After she left, I ordered Thai food. The good Thai food from the place across town that delivered, not the cheap place nearby. Spent $45 on pad Thai, spring rolls, and some mango sticky rice that was probably what they serve in heaven. Ate it all while watching the game, not sharing with anyone, not worrying about anyone else's preferences. I thought this is what peace tastes like. It tastes like coconut curry and freedom. Saturday morning, the day of the party, I woke up to approximately 7,000 messages in the family group chat. Okay, maybe not 7,000, but definitely at least 50. Pictures of balloons. Pictures of a catering setup. Pictures of Nora in 3 different outfits asking which one she should wear. "Patricia, it's going to be beautiful. So proud of you, sweetie." Richard, our little girl, all grown up. Various aunts, uncles, and cousins I barely knew. Heart emojis, celebration emojis, house emojis, champagne emojis. The party started at 2 p.m. I knew this because Haley left at noon to help with last-minute preparations, which apparently required 2 hours of lead time. "You really should come." She tried one last time at the door. "Have fun," I said, and I meant it. I genuinely hoped they had a great party. Because the better the party, the funnier the aftermath was going to be. After Haley left, I took my time getting ready. Showered, shaved, put on actual nice clothes, not party clothes, but going out clothes. I had plans, and they didn't involve watching my in-laws celebrate in a house I'd funded while pretending I didn't exist. I drove downtown to that same steakhouse from earlier in the week. Yeah, I went back. Sue me. The steak was incredible, and I felt like celebrating some more. Trevor recognized me. "Back again. Twice in 1 week. You must really love our ribeye." "Trevor, my man, I love everything about this place." I settled into a booth by the window where I could watch people walk by living their lives. "Let's do this right. I want the ribeye again, medium rare, but this time let's add the lobster tail." His eyebrows went up. Surf and turf wasn't cheap. Celebrating again? You could say that. There's a party happening right now that I'm not invited to, and I couldn't be happier about it. Trevor, professional that he was, didn't even blink. Well, their loss is our gain. I'll get that started for you. Any drinks? Whatever bourbon you'd recommend for celebrating other people's impending disasters. He grinned. I have just the thing. While I waited for my food, I scrolled through Instagram. Nora's stories were already populating. Videos of people arriving. Pictures of the decorated house. Her holding a champagne glass doing that influencer pose where you pretend you don't know the camera is there. The caption on one post. Surrounded by love and family in the home I built with hard work and determination. Dreams really do come true. House 2 Heart Sparkles # blessed #homeowner #dreams come true #hard work pays off. The home she built. With hard work and determination. I actually laughed out loud, causing an elderly couple at the next table to glance over with concern. The steak arrived, and it was glorious. The lobster tail was butter-soaked perfection. I cut into that ribeye, and it was so tender it practically melted. This, right here, was my celebration. Not champagne and balloons and fake speeches about hard work. Just me, an excellent steak, and the satisfaction of knowing I'd finally stopped enabling delusion. My phone buzzed. Jennifer, Marcus's wife, sent me a private text. You're missing quite the party. Nora just gave a speech about believing in yourself even when others doubt you. Very inspirational. Also very ironic. Anyway, miss you here. I smiled and typed back. Enjoying my own celebration. Tell Marcus I said hi. She sent back a thinking emoji, then. You're up to something. Who, me? Leo. I know that tone even in text form. What did you do? Nothing illegal. That's not reassuring. Trust me, it's going to be hilarious. She didn't respond after that. Probably got pulled back into party duties. But I knew Jennifer. She was smart. She'd figure it out eventually. I finished my meal slowly, savoring each bite. Ordered that chocolate lava cake again, because why not? I was saving $2,500 a month now. I could afford dessert. Trevor brought the check. The total was $156. Worth every penny, I said, handing him my card. Glad you enjoyed it. And hey, he lowered his voice conspiratorially. I don't know what's going on with you in this party situation, but you seem like you're in a good place now. So whatever you did, good for you. Thanks, Trevor. You're a real one. I left him a 50% tip because I was feeling generous and because I could afford to be generous now that I wasn't paying for someone else's mortgage. Driving home, I felt this profound sense of calm. Somewhere across town, they were all celebrating Nora's success, toasting her hard work, admiring her beautiful home. And none of them knew, not Patricia, not Richard, not even Haley, that in about 2 weeks, reality was going to come crashing through that door like the Kool-Aid Man. The mortgage payment was due on the 1st. Today was the 16th. That meant around the 3rd or 4th, when the payment didn't process, Nora would get a notification. Then the panic would set in. And I would be there, watching from a safe distance, eating popcorn and enjoying the show. Revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic speeches or confrontations. Sometimes revenge was just canceling a payment and watching physics take over. And buddy, gravity was about to hit hard. 2 weeks. That's how long it took for reality to send Nora a friend request. And let me tell you, those 14 days were like watching a movie where you already know the twist ending, but everyone else is oblivious. I was walking around with this secret knowledge, this countdown timer in my head, and every day that passed felt like Christmas Eve when you're 8 years old and can barely contain your excitement. The party had come and gone. According to the Instagram evidence, because everything had to be documented for the algorithm, it had been a massive success. There were approximately 400 photos of people holding champagne glasses, Nora giving her inspirational speech about manifesting dreams, and that damn house looking gorgeous in the golden hour lighting. Patricia had posted an album with the caption, "So proud of our self-made daughter," and I'd stared at those words for a solid 5 minutes, wondering if irony could actually kill you. Haley had come home that night, glowing with family pride and several glasses of wine. You really should have been there, she'd said, kicking off her heels. Nora's speech was beautiful. She talked about overcoming obstacles and believing in yourself. Very moving. Sounds inspiring, I'd said from the couch, where I was watching a documentary about space. Space was simple. Space didn't have in-laws or mortgages or fake girl bosses. Are you being sarcastic? Would I do that? She'd sighed and gone to bed, and I'd stayed up watching the cosmos expand while waiting for Nora's world to contract. The first of the month came on a Tuesday. I woke up that morning with butterflies in my stomach, the good kind, like when you're about to go on a roller coaster you've been waiting in line for. Today was mortgage due date. Today was when the bank would try to process the payment and find nothing. Just empty air where my checking account used to be. I made coffee extra carefully that morning, like it was a ritual. French press instead of the regular drip. Good beans from that expensive place downtown. I was celebrating, quietly, internally, while Haley rushed around getting ready for work. "You're in a good mood," she observed, grabbing her travel mug. "It's a beautiful day," I said, looking out the window at what was actually kind of a gray, overcast morning. "If you say so." She kissed my cheek on her way out. We'd thawed slightly since the party, moved from Arctic freeze to merely cold. "Love you. Love you too." The door closed, and I sat at the kitchen table with my fancy coffee, waiting. Of course, the bank wouldn't notify Nora immediately. There was processing time, business days, all that banking bureaucracy that makes the world go round. It would probably be day 3 or 4 before she got the notification that her payment had failed. I went to work and was absurdly productive. Finished 3 reports that weren't due for another week. Frank commented that I was disturbingly efficient and asked if I'd been possessed by the ghost of a motivated person. Just feeling focused, I told him. Sarah knew better. "It's happening soon, isn't it? Any day now. I'm so excited I might burst." Is that wrong? Probably. But I'm not judging. We high-fived across the cubicle divider. Jerry from accounting saw this and shook his head. "You two are weird." Day 2 passed. Then day 3. I started to wonder if maybe the bank was slower than I thought. Maybe Nora had somehow covered the payment herself with some mysterious sponsorship money. Maybe. My phone rang on day 4. It was 10:47 a.m. on a Friday. I was in the middle of reviewing a spreadsheet that made me want to cry from boredom when I saw her name flash across my screen. Nora. Sarah's head popped up over the divider like a prairie dog sensing danger. I made eye contact with her and pointed at my phone. Her eyes went wide. She gave me a double thumbs up and ducked back down, but I could tell she was listening. I let it ring 3 times. For times. I wanted to answer on the 5th ring for maximum dramatic effect, but my curiosity won out. "Hello, Leo." She wasn't crying this time. She was panicking. There's a difference. Crying is sad and manipulative. Panic is pure, unfiltered fear. "Oh my God, Leo, something's wrong with the mortgage." I took a sip of my coffee, the office coffee, not the fancy home stuff, but it still tasted like victory. "Oh, what's wrong?" "The payment didn't go through. The bank just sent me this notification saying the payment failed, and now they're saying I'm late, and there's going to be fees, and—" She was talking so fast the words were tripping over each other. "I don't understand what happened. The payment has always gone through automatically." "Huh," I said, spinning slowly in my office chair. "That is weird." "Weird? Leo, this is a disaster. I need to figure out what went wrong. Can you check your account? Maybe there's some kind of error." Here it was. The moment I'd been waiting 2 weeks for. The moment I'd been building toward since Patricia's phone call banning me from the party. I could practically hear the universe holding its breath. "Oh, that?" I said casually, like we were discussing the weather. "Yeah, I stopped paying." Silence. Pure, absolute silence. I could hear her breathing on the other end. Could practically hear her brain trying to process what I'd just said. "You what?" "I stopped paying your mortgage. Canceled the automatic payment about 3 weeks ago." More silence. "Then what?" "You can't do that." I had to hold the phone away from my ear. Sarah's head popped back up, her eyes huge, mouthing, "Oh my God," at me. "Pretty sure I can," I said, still using that same calm, reasonable tone that was probably driving her insane. "I'm the one who's been doing it. So logically, I'm also the one who can stop doing it." But you can't. "Leo, this is my house. My mortgage. You can't just stop." "Actually, Nora, I super can. It's my money. I get to decide where it goes." "But we had an agreement." This was fascinating. "Did we?" "Because I don't remember signing anything. I don't remember you ever saying, 'Hey, Leo, can you pay my mortgage for exactly 12 months? I remember you crying about needing help for just a couple months." You knew I needed help. I knew you needed help for 2 months. It's been 12. Math isn't my favorite, but even I can tell that's a significant difference. I heard her making this sound, half gasp, half sob, all panic. "You're ruining my life." And there it was. The exact same phrase she'd used about the handbag comment. Apparently, I had a real talent for life ruining. Should probably put that on my resume.